me pray. Father, I ask you, Lord, to lead us and guide us tonight, and Father, the wisdom we need to make the decisions the best for Hendry County, Father. Father, I pray for the men and women that put their lives on the line daily, Lord, and our first responders, our fire departments, our EMS workers, Lord, our sheriff's department. Keep them safe in the hallowed of your hands, Lord. Father, be with our staff as they do daily, Lord, what they do, Father, to keep this county running. And Father, I just pray for every man and woman ever put on a uniform to afford us the right to stand here tonight, Lord, and worship you in spirit and in truth. And Father, we just pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Michael Atkinson, County Attorney Matt Rollerson, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, and Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Hendry County Board of County Commissioners. We ask if you would like to speak, if you would fill out a card and give it to the clerk. We ask that you silence your phones as well. Thank you so much. And if you are to speak, we allot 3 minutes. Thank you. At this time, first thing up are bids. It's the ITB number.
Commissioners, for the record, Emily Hunter, Community Relations and Legislative Director. This item is requesting the board reject the single bid that was received for the 5 ship homes in Clewiston. The bid that was received did not have the adequate quote information, so we're requesting that you reject the bid and allow us to re-advertise in hopes of soliciting some more bids as well.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we follow option 1, reject sole bid, and authorize staff to re-advertise.
Motion by Commissioner Howard, second by Commissioner Atkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands.
Emily, while you're up there, what are your thoughts on, I know this isn't the first time that we've had this issue. What are your thoughts on why we can't get contractors to bid on this?
I would have to speak.
Or ship programs, I should say.
Well, I don't know. This is, I think, is the first time that we've rejected a single bid. So I don't think we've had issues in the past with only having one bid. I think we had issues with them not properly submitting their bids, but we did have multiple contractors previously that submitted bids. So this is the first time since I've overseen the program that we've only had one contractor submit a bid.
Yeah, I know when Guardian was overseeing it, I know we had, multiple issues there, but it seems like one of the issues that we would have occasionally where we just wouldn't have enough contractors bidding on it. And I think Commissioner Turner had mentioned one time about increasing the amounts in order to help alleviate some of that issue. But I was just curious if you're just, no response, just people are showing up, not bidding on it? Or?
I think there was also one late bid.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
recall us having a problem. I do recall things not being submitted the proper way. But I don't recall us not getting the bids. This is the first to me.
I think there was 6 or 7 contractors that showed up, wasn't there, for the pre-bid?
For the pre-bid, yes, sir. I
Yes.
believe there were
Yeah,
several.
6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, but for them not to bid, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering.
Commissioner Iglesias, and just to kind of talk about raising the threshold, it's not that staff is opposed to it, but at that point in time, we were really trying to get our arms around a lot of other issues in the program. I think we've overcome a lot of those issues, and so I would suggest that we rebid and see what we get, and if we have a problem again, then we can look at increasing those thresholds. But to increase those thresholds at that point in time would have just added
Sure.
more problems than what we already had.
Because it's been a lot better. It's
much
been
better.
a lot better. Oh, yeah. So appreciative for what the staff does. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
Next up is the agenda, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. This is a public hearing at this time. If anyone from the public should speak, make sure you fill out a card for me, please.
Good evening. For the record, Ryan Alexander, Director of Planning and Community Development. CPA 22-0003 for Maori Properties is a large-scale map amendment to amend the future land use designation from agriculture to multi-use. This puts it in line with a lot of the other properties that are in the area. It's a 282-acre site that's bordered by Glades County on the north side and US 27 on the south side towards the Clewiston area. Like I said, there are other properties that have done this, and we're actually working with some of the properties tonight on PUDs for the properties that were previously done as multi-use. So this puts it in line with those properties and the direction that we're seeing that area turn. We have not had any calls from anybody in the public about it, and it passed the LPA unanimously with a recommendation of approval.
No discussion. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner
Chair,
Howard. We're going to vote individually, so we'll know who is stepping or not.
Yes.
Just one
Ma'am,
second,
please.
please. Make sure there's no public input, please, Chair. So I know someone didn't fill out a card, but I just want to make sure the
I didn't
public
have
didn't
a
have any
card, but I
comment.
did ask if there's one of the public wishes to speak. Thank you. You can take the roll call.
Yes.
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 All in favor, motion stands. Thank you.
RZ 22 dash, I'm sorry, I'm on the, still on the second one.
RZ 22.
RZ 22-0001 is a development, kind of the same general idea. So the developments have to go through a comprehensive plan to switch from from agriculture to multi-use. And the second step in the process is to rezone to a PUD to allow the use. The third step would be a development order or construction plans, and that's when they would actually go to develop. So these are in the second step of the process, or this one is in the second step of the process. Is to rezone the property to 23 million square feet of industrial distribution, 1 million square feet of an industrial park, 1 million square feet of industrial warehousing, 250,000 square feet of light industrial, 250,000 square feet of industrial data center, 13,500 square feet of commercial, truck stop or industrial, and 100 hotel rooms distributed over 6 areas of the property. We worked extensively with the applicant to ensure that the Sky Valley subdivision is appropriately buffered. We worked in a restricted area. There's a restricted zone A and a restricted zone B. The restricted zone A has a 150-foot setback with a type D buffer and a wall that restricts the uses within that area that are directly adjacent to the east and north sides of Sky Valley subdivision. There's also another 150-foot area that restricts the uses to some commercial uses and lower intensity uses that aren't as impactful to the neighborhood. We did work through the buffering plan, and Mr. Perry is here tonight and would like to ask, might have something to add and would like to ask something of the board to change one of the conditions within the recommendation.
As he's coming up, this has been a project that's been going for years, back to when Margaret was here. The only issue that I see, and Tommy and I spoke about this today, is that I want to restrict traffic on 720 to emergency use only, coming off that property and on 2.
We're not objectional to.
Excuse me, sir, would you state
Excuse
your
me,
name
I'm-
for me,
I'm
please?
Tommy Perry with Johnson Pruitt, representing the applicant. We're not objectional to restricting traffic to 720. What we would like to say is there's a piece of the property that the railroad isolates. It's in a curve. There could be some trouble getting a crossing of the railroad there. We'd like for that to be able to use 720 for its primary if there's a problem crossing the railroad.
So you're saying if the rail crossing is down at the time?
No, because it's in the curve, there might be issues with crossing the railroad in a curve due to sighting issues. And if we can't connect that back to the subdivision, then we'd like to be able to use 720.
Okay, Ryan, we'll discuss that when he gets up. Thank you.
Okay.
720 is right here.
And we do have one request. In the buffering plan, adjacent to the properties south of 9 Mile Canal along State Road 80, calls for a type D buffer. We'd like to change that to say that buffer as determined by staff at the time of development order. It calls for a D because there's residents next door. But if those residents aren't there at the time of development, then it would make sense to reduce that buffer some. Other developments along that corridor have a lesser buffer.
So you're saying south of 9 Mile Canal?
Yes. So the one that says south of Mile Canal, we change it to say is determined by staff. And then the one that says adjacent to 9 Mile Canal, we change, it says type D with wall, we change that to as determined by staff. That's on page 240, I think, in your package.
Brian, you was aware of the changes, right? Here, or hit a buffering right here.
So within that buffering plan on the proposed ordinance on table 2, that's what he's referencing, south of 9 Mile Canal along the east and west boundary and adjacent to 9 Mile Canal. And that property right there, it's a little ranch right now, but it is on US 27, so it could develop as commercial in the future. That's definitely a possibility for that property where it's situated.
Any other comments? This is a public hearing. Anyone else from the public wishes to speak?
So the one question, Madam Chair, you're talking about in the future if those residents aren't there. So you're saying that could actually potentially be commercial as well in the front, is what you're saying?
We're obviously seeing that corridor change rapidly that direction, so yes, sir.
Okay. So the question I would have then, if we reduce the buffering there, next project comes in, the only reason I'm having this conversation is I ran into it on my side. Next project comes in, and the buffering was more stringent, so all of a sudden, we've got an issue between the first project and the second project. So I just think it needs to be consistent. If we're going to change it, it's gonna need to be consistent once that next property develops. We're gonna have to understand that we're gonna have to be held to that same level there, so just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is once we make that decision, we're setting a precedent of
That's
how
right,
we're going to.
for your future, right there, especially right next door to it. Yes, Commissioner, that's what it is.
That's in the front, right?
It's in the front, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have an issue with it, I'm just making a point there. I ran into that, we had a motorhome park, and all of a sudden, the next piece turned into a motorhome park, and they put a red barn next to it.
Mm.
Wasn't good. It wasn't good.
You have anything else you'd like to add, Ryan?
Yeah, let's discuss the railroad. What are your thoughts there on the railroad?
So-
I lost my page.
That's coming off.
They don't have access right now. You don't have a crossing for the railroad, correct?
There is
I don't think
there's got to be
there's
some
this one.
crossing, but I'm not aware.
Okay. So it would
think
be
they-
section 6 is what he's referencing on the master concept plan that's labeled as industrial. That would be what would have access to 720.
And Madam Chair, there is no crossing on that railroad right there,
To
correct?
get interdevelopment
Right,
now.
there's not a crossing today.
Right.
They go up, they drive up into
Yeah.
Glens County where there's a crossing and then come back.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying that in the future there might need to be a crossing?
We would like to put in a crossing as part of development,
Okay.
but because of sighting distances with that curve, it's not a guarantee that we can get
You
a
can do it,
crossing there.
okay.
Might not meet the rail criteria.
And
Do
that
you have
gives
more than
seven-
one access through that property now?
We're proposing an access to US 27 and an access to 720 as a secondary spot.
Last reason I was asking, because I'm pretty sure once you get into the fire and side of it, they're gonna want that secondary access, so ingress, egress, so just questioning.
Mr. Perry, and when you're referencing section 6 there, that's the only access you're asking for 720, correct? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Chair, just clarification, if you can get the crossing, then you would not need the access, is that correct?
I believe it makes sense to still have an access point on 720, but it'd be one that we'd restrict use of. and discourages.
Well, that's what he was asking for, the emergency squad,
So-
okay.
We could have it to access to 720 shall be limited to emergency access only unless the developer cannot obtain a permit to cross 9 Mile Canal, at which time section 6 shall, as shown on the master concept plan, shall be the only section allowed access to 720.
Okay,
Is that?
sounds good. I'll
Permit
make
to
that
cross-
motion,
oh,
however,
railroad.
I
I
can't remember
just said
that. He's
it's-
gonna have
it's,
to recite that.
Railroad, not 9 Mile Canal. Shane just corrected me. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Wells. We're gonna individually vote. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wants to.
We have to
wishes
address
speak?
buffer D.
He said the staff was gonna do the,
That address buffer also.
he said the staff.
So the
So
intent,
on, yes, go ahead.
go ahead.
So on table 2 within the buffer table, south of 9 Mile Canal would be, so adjacent to 9 Mile Canal would be at time of development. Determined at time of development,
And staff would determine that, right?
yes. Based on the criteria in 158.
And
Which-
158.
Which should address the concern with respect to, this isn't just a discretion of staff, this is, according to the code, what the adjacent property is would dictate what kind of
And
buffering
the
is
same one for
required.
south. Okay, so both of them, south of 9 Mile Canal along east and west boundary and adjacent to 9 Mile Canal would both be determined at time of development based on the guidance within the LDC.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, why can't it come back to the board? What's that gonna, is there a
It would
reason
just
why
be
it shouldn't?
time
Okay.
frame and working through the process and getting back scheduled and advertised, instead of just taking it to staff. We would review it during the site development plan process or the construction plans.
I'm good with that. Mr. Bishop has waited way too long for this project to get where it's at today, so I'll support that. I'll make a motion to approve that,
Okay, with the 2 conditions recommended by staff.
with
Still
both
second it.
recommendations by staff.
This time, we're gonna vote on it's the same, motion, Commissioner Iglesias,
Yes,
Commissioner Wells, and at this time, we're gonna do an individual vote.
yes.
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 Motion stands. Thank you.
Give me a second. RZ 24-0004 is a PUD rezone by US Sugar to authorize the development of a long-range plan for commercial and industrial uses. The property is on the corner where 80 and US 27 come together on the northeast corner. Currently, it's being used for sugarcane. It boundaries, to the north, it boundaries Glades County, just like the Maori property and the Flag Pond property. And then to the south, and then to the west is US 27. They're looking for a maximum development of 3,170,000 square feet of non-residential uses, with, which is comprised of a mix of 1,020,000 square feet of commercial office use, to include up to 170 hotel rooms, and 2,150,000 square feet of industrial uses.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Axon. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak at this time? We're gonna vote individually.
Commissioner Iglesias,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Byrd,
Yes.
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 Motion stands. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. At this time, we're going to staff report.
Chairman, for the record, Shane Parker, Public Works Director. Have before you the agreement for the YMCA for Summer Camp 2025 for the East Rec MSBU. Basically a wash, rinse, repeat. Same agreement as last year, just changed the dates.
Madam Chair, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner
Wills.
Wills, second by Commissioner Iglesias. This is a public hearing. This is not a public hearing, so motion stands. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion stands.
Next item I have for you, Commissioners, is license for roadway use with the Matthew M. and Sandra T. Howard Family Trust.
Madam Chair, I motion to approve this as well.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion?
The only, Madam Chair, the only thing I see this, the county's gonna maintain it through garbage.
For garbage and emergency service vehicles.
Just whenever we do the new garbage, I wanna make sure that we do any of these roads that we have, we make sure we cover that in the cost of doing the garbage.
What do you mean cover it?
So if it cost us $1,000 to go maintain this road, that fee's put inside of what we charge for garbage. You know, in the budget.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I just wanna
Yes,
make
sir.
sure there's line items. I don't know, I'm sure this isn't the only one that
Goes
we
in-
have in the county.
Right, it goes into repairs and maintenance for that section.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Howard?
Madam Chair, before we vote too, just want to clarify, the Sandra Howard is not my Sandra Howard, my mother, and they are far removed, so.
Oh. Did we vote? Cause I lost there.
No, ma'am, we have.
Okay, I need a motion.
We already have a motion in a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I was lost right there. Hey, I said I was lost for a minute. He throwed me off a minute. Thank you so much. At this time, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Any old business? Staff?
I'd like to thank Ryan and the bishops for being so patient through this process. Mr. Bishop, when I met you a few years ago, that first phone call didn't go well. I hope the end result gets you where you want to be to build what your son's future is going to hold. Thank you for being patient. Thanks for staff for doing everything they've done. You know, these rezonings are very difficult, and I always make the comment that the wheels of government don't take as fast as you would like them to. But it's for the process to be as perfect that it can be, because we're held accountable of what that site's gonna look like 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. So that gentleman over there and Margaret before and Shane, everyone gets involved to make sure that once this commission or the commission before them votes on something, that it was done right. You know, and Mr. Bishop, your son and I had a conversation about the adjacent property of what was required of them years ago that didn't happen with the berm, and I'll talk to staff about that later. But I get that, and for us, we're going to learn from the mistakes before us to try to not make those mistakes moving forward. So that's one thing. Number two, Sugar Festival this weekend. A lot of time and effort's gone in, just like the Swamp Cabbage Festival. I would hope you guys would come out. There's not a big parade. Commissioner Williams just left. Him and I will be emceeing a dodgeball tournament between the Clueston Police Department and the Hendry County Sheriff. So to be safe, Jason Williams will be rooting for the Clueston PD, and I'll be rooting for the Hendry County Sheriff's Department. I will say that the last couple of years, it's been a softball tournament, is that right? And the PD's lost every time, so they had to change the sport to see if they had a chance. So I don't think that's really going to happen, but it is what it is. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, thank you. The streetlights for Case and Evans Road the work has commenced, and there's a lot of very happy folks, and kind of along the same lines as what Commissioner Iglesias said, you know, government moves slow, it seems like at times, and there was a lot of angst about if this was ever gonna happen, but I'm glad it was well thought out, especially Shane and the work he put in on it. Had the opportunity to drive down there at night, and it does exactly what it's supposed to on those dark roads. So I appreciate what Shane has done and his long suffering. So thank you.
Sleepless nights.
His long suffering. Commissioner Wills?
I don't really have a lot. Just thank you guys for all the work you do. Like I said, most times you guys get nothing but complaints. Tommy's really buckled down on the stuff we've had going on as far as illegal dump trucks and things, and I know it's a thankless thing, and you guys have done some stuff on the weekends, Tommy, so I want to make sure they're recognized for all their efforts, and I do appreciate that very much. We're starting to get a grip on it. It's one of those things, but we're starting to get there, so thank you very much. That's all, Madam Chair.
Commissioner?
So I want to bring up mailboxes again. There was a letter sent from Washington to Senator Scott's office. I don't know if you've seen that yet. Said that it's not their problem, that it's the responsibility of the homeowners. So what we need to do is figure out something to replace these, fix them. So that's my goal tonight, to put that in everybody's mind. We have to figure out what we have to do moving forward. They're not gonna do anything, so we have to.
Let me ask you, did you ask for, to see if we can get new ones and they not fix them? Maybe if they can give us some, and then we could, put them up?
So I told them I wasn't coming in one direction. I was coming for help. Whatever direction they wanted to go, we would be more than happy to do it. If it's replacing mailboxes, whatever it is, we've got to come up with a goal to fix this.
So, Jennifer, you don't want to hear this because we've had this conversation before, and I don't know what department it's going to be, but this is what I envisioned before. The government, U.S. Postal Service is not going to do it. It's just flat out, it's not going to happen. The people of Hendry County and all through the state of Florida and through the United States, they need to get their mail, okay? Unfortunately, we're in a fiscally constrained county, and our people need help, and a lot of people don't have the transportation they need to come to town in order to get their mail. I'll use Montura, for example. When I did I think it was 18 miles to get to town, roughly about 23 minutes, depending if you're on the backside of Montura, and it just goes on and on. The reality is, I think, when I priced out the mailboxes at Montura, the existing structure that exists now is 1,128 boxes. At that time during COVID, it was $36,000 to rebuild what exists now, not the parcel boxes, but the quad per se. You put a roof over it, concrete. Let's say we're out the door at 60. Okay. We bid it out, it's gonna cost us $100,000 because we're a government agency. It is what it is. Let's figure out how we charge the fee to the customer. I don't know how that works out, but we need to charge that fee, and I'd rather not issue the key, but either we're gonna have to issue the key at a building department, or I don't wanna say special districts because he's got entirely.
It's protesting.
So anyway, what I'm gonna tell you is find a solution, and I think, listen, we don't wanna be in the postal service, right? I think everyone would agree that our people need help. They're counting on us. Our federal government's doing absolutely nothing to help us. I've heard every excuse, and I kinda chuckled when you brought it up back when, because it's ignorance of the federal government that tell us that it's not their responsibility.
But you have to go through them and do it the way that they want it done.
Yeah, and if you take Montura, for example, because it's all through the county, okay? But if you take the boxes at Montura, there's a sticker on the outside of it. You know what it says? Property of U.S. Postal Service. You know what, Shane, do you have a key to that place? Jennifer, do you have a key? None of us have a key to it. But they won't own up to it. It's because they're broke. I get it. People are emailing. Faxes don't even exist. People pay their bills on ACH. It is what it is. The Coulson post office, they'll have a pothole bigger than anything on Helms Road. Promise you, that'll be there for 9 months. Trees are growing out of it. They don't even have the money to maintain their own facilities. They'll let grass grow up till code enforcement writes them up. It's reality, and we're not going to change that. I wish we could, but we've been talking about it since before I was elected. Michael Swindle dealt with it. It's time to get something done. Let's figure it out. I don't think we need a workshop, but we have to do it. You're gonna have the same problem in Wheeler.
Oh, I've already got
Ladika?
the same problem. We can't get mail now again.
But see, you got lucky because when I started, you were able to get mailboxes through the Lee County district from the Postal Service. That's how you got your boxes.
No, I got my boxes through Michelle in Hendry County, right there on
Right,
the belt.
right. But what I'm saying is, so the district of the Postal Service.
Right, we're divided there.
Correct. We're out of Miami, you were out of Lee County, and so I made those calls to Michelle because you had given me her contact, and it went absolutely nowhere. We have I've used Mario Diaz-Balart, I hadn't used Scott's office, but I used Senator Scott's office, he's used both. let's do something. Let's quit talking. I don't want to keep talking about the same thing over and over again. I've been in office for 4 years, and that was one of the first things that was brought up to my, we don't need to give up. Let's find a solution for it, and let's do it.
And I think the keys, Central County can take care of Montura's. Pioneer has a homeowners association. I think maybe we can, you let them kind of have leeway there with the keys.
The only thing I see wrong with that, and that would make sense, okay, is that the 298 that Central County operates under, they're responsible for roads, recreation as it pertains to their clubhouse, and the drainage. I don't feel, at one point, they were hauling garbage out, they were spending $110,000 a year hauling garbage out, and they didn't need to do that. I just don't know if you add that burden on top of them. I know that we don't want to, Jennifer, but I'm just telling you, we have to figure something out. If Central County votes on it, and that's what they want to do, then so be it. I just don't want to.
I think that's just an option to,
You have to first come up with a solution before you put it on somebody's back. So let's figure out how we're gonna get it
Yeah.
first and
Now,
then worry about that.
in conversations with them, Michael, that they will give up property, or they did, a couple of years ago, they would give up property for it, because, there is a need for that community. But as Montour grows, I don't know if we end up using the fire station at some point, if we do get something with appropriation money to move,
Yeah.
but we gotta do something, but the growth is there.
because they have over 1,500 homes out there now.
Yeah.
That was what I got for 2024.
And
The problem we
Commissioner,
have in Wheeler's even compounded, because they're not attached to Hendry County, but they are taxed by Hendry County. Some of their taxes out there are extremely high, but they still can't get mail. They still can't. I got blowed up this past week. They had a fire out there. Well, there's no burn ban. It took 23 minutes, which is pretty doggone good, I thought. 23 minutes from time of call to a truck on scene. And we get blowed up, so I've got a lot of issues in that area that we're trying to get. I'm just trying to get somebody with an ambulance or a fire truck or a deputy, because deputies
Right.
go all the way around and they don't get there forever neither. So the mail situation, we gotta get figured out, but I need to get some other life and safety stuff figured out too, so.
So,
While we're jumping on this, and I don't wanna pass the cost on to the customer. I don't think our individuals should have to pay, they're already paying enough. They need to get their mail, and we need to make sure they can get it.
well, I'm gonna disagree with that, and I'm gonna just tell you why. So the cost of a PO box is $70 a year. So, simple math, let's say if we could build a structure like the quads, and Pioneer's got the same thing at 70 grand, just roughly, just throw a number. We can get that fee 1 year, and they don't have to pay a reoccurring fee if we just wanna cover that expense, is what my thought is, where the post office might say, no, if we're gonna deliver mail, we wanna see an expense. I don't see that happening, because they don't charge me a fee at my house, right? So if they're not gonna maintain the facility and we're gonna build it, then they shouldn't need a reoccurring fee. So it would be nice for them to just assume the responsibility of it, but if they don't, we're gonna need to do it in-house.
I'm with you, I think it's time we move on it for sure. Because you're right, it's been 4 years, and we're still sitting here talking about the same problems.
So the way it's worded through the United States Postal Service is, whenever the mode of transportation is decided upon when the property is platted, that's how it follows suit. So that's why new development builders and developers are responsible for it. So if we build the structure, we sell the key to somebody for $70 or whatever that fee is, then we hand it, now the post office is responsible to deliver mail. We really don't have an ongoing expense, because those people aren't changing keys out. They're gonna keep the same box for years upon years unless they move out. So I don't think we're gonna have much an added expense for any internal staff, is what I'm getting at, so.
Any other discussion? Don't have much, just wanna say thank you to Charlene. She know who I'm speaking to. Appreciate